This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we are your hosts. I'm Grace.
I'm Alexis.
And we are continuing our skyrocketing journey towards the future. Maybe not skyrocketing, I don't know. Last time we were 2 times ago.
Yeah.
We're
going to the moon. To the moon, baby.
To the moon and back, baby. Unfortunately, we were there a couple weeks ago for some reason. And I don't know where we're going to go this week. Last week, we were in a psych ward. And that we were on the moon. So I don't know. Maybe we'll just stick to New London.
We were in some redheaded exclusive club. I mean, we're all over the place.
Truly.
The sights of New London are
the sights, the sounds
not to be ignored.
Of 2103.
And Alexis, it all in.
Take it all in. Take us there. In your episode today, I'll pass it right on to you.
All righty. Thank you. And I'm very, very excited for this episode today.
Okay.
And I guess just as a warning for those listening or watching, Grace and I are recording a lot of episodes today. We're on episode 3 that we are recording all in one day today. So things might get a little loosey-goosey.
It gets a little squirrely at the end. We know this.
We see how we get after, recapping so many episodes of cartoons in a row for a few hours in a row. We start to lose our sanity a bit. And the jokes get a little crazier. The wild speculation gets even more speculative and wilder. So yes, just keep that in mind in the back of your head. But tightly, as many buckles as you can find.
Lock it down.
So this episode today, it is from season 1. It's episode 17 of Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century. And it is called, and also based upon the short story of the same name called The Man with the Twisted Lip. I feel like I had heard of this before picking it, but also I wasn't particularly familiar with the story or the short story. So now I am, because I've read the full plot and everything. Right. But I gotta say, this might be my favorite episode of this show that I've watched so far. I freaking love it. So that therefore means that this short story it's based off of is now on my short list. So I actually have listened to the audiobook for this. I just remembered because it's very short since it is a short story. I found it online and it was like 50 minutes long. So I was like, okay, cool. Let me listen to this audiobook. And it's good. We'll obviously talk about the plot at the end of the episode.
Cool.
But
I don't know this one.
So suffice it to say, it's a very interesting case.
Cool.
And the episode begins, of course, with Sherlock and Watson receiving a new client. Her name is Lois St. Clair, and she has recently called the detectives so that they can help her find and possibly rescue her husband, Neville St. Clair, who she says disappeared earlier this morning.
Okay.
So, good old classic detective case here.
Yes.
Nothing crazy about nanotechnology. Nothing crazy about
we're straightforward.
Redheads, straightforward
or the
kidnapping.
Moon.
Exactly. Or exactly. No
holograms.
Moon. We're staying grounded. Okay. So, this case is of particular interest to Sherlock because he remembers that Neville St. Clair was reported as deceased about 38 days ago. And according to the publicly available police reports and the obituary, any information they have on Neville St. Clair, he allegedly was tragically murdered in the moonlight by an unknown assailant. So...
Okay. So she's saying he went missing this morning then?
This morning, yes. And now Watson's like, oh, that's crazy. How did you remember that from like 38 days ago, Sherlock? And he's like... Well, it's an unsolved case, and I tend to take good stock of those. So it's basically been like eating at his mind for the past month plus. Like, who the hell killed this guy?
Like, this case.
Right? Like one day, eventually, we'll investigate something related to that. Yes. So Sherlock and Watson take this case on their own without the assistance of Lestrade, at least initially, or without any like direct coordination with New Scotland Yard. Yeah, it's just them. For like 2 reasons here, kind of. And the first one is because the Yardies have been very busy trying to bust and take down a crime syndicate known as the Night Ravens. and they've been causing a lot of ruckus and doing a lot of robberies around the city. So
Hmm.
the Yardies have kind of like they've been closing in on the gang, but also they're spinning their wheels a bit. They're trying to bust and do like sting operations in like
Mm.
empty rooms, basically. Like they'll go to break up some meeting and no one's there. So like they feel
Oh,
themselves kind of, it's like a cat and mouse kind of game, but
yeah.
at the same
They're
time,
kind
they
of
are
losing.
applying a lot of pressure,
Okay.
yes, onto this gang. So much pressure, in fact, that a local leader of the gang, known by the name Zuber, has reportedly gone missing, and he has also not been seen for a little more than a month, according to local news reports.
Okay. Wait, can I
Mhm.
ask a quick question?
Yes.
Did the Neville guy, did they
Hmm.
have they pointed out to the woman that he died 38, who was murdered 38 days ago? Or they just say, yeah, we'll
No,
take the case?
we'll take the case. That's it.
Okay.
Nope, just we'll take
Okay.
the case.
Okay.
Interesting. Interesting indeed. Yes. Because Watson's like, wait, so basically, when Sherlock finds out about Lois, he's like, "Oh, interesting. So two mysteries." And Watson's like, "What do you mean two? We just have a missing person." And
Uh-huh.
Holmes is like, "Well, no, he's also actually dead." And Watson's like,
Dead.
"Oh shit!" So like nobody really is piecing this together except for
Okay.
Sherlock. Yeah,
Cool.
but we'll
Great.
get there
Thanks.
with what Miss St. Clair knows. Yes.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, in this situation, Lois is very distraught and depressed when the detectives get to her house because, like, her husband is missing.
Yeah.
And we find out the last conversation that they had, and it actually makes it even more reasonable why she's so distraught and like anxious and like seems very nervous. And it's just like, oh my God, what the fuck is happening? Because she opens up to Sherlock and Watson and tells them everything, basically answering your previous
Oh, okay.
question. She straight up tells him, like, yeah, his funeral 38 days ago was fake. Like,
Oh shit.
he's he was not dead. So she is fully aware that, yeah, some crazy shit's going on
Okay,
here.
okay, okay, okay.
But her saying this also proves that the police report on his murder was also fake.
Yeah.
Because how you going to get a police report when the family knows that he's not actually dead? And also
This goes
because
deep.
Watson, he goes super deep.
Okay.
Watson notes too that like the police report said that he was killed in like the clear moonlit sky or something,
Yeah.
but coincidentally, New London has been covered in like historic record level fog for the past like 2 months straight.
Oh, okay.
So
So it was
he's
a
like, "There's
bad
no
cover up
way."
even.
Exactly, which is what Sherlock says. He's like, "Well, that's a terrible police report. We know that that can be
Oh,
disregarded." Yeah, because it's like they didn't even
okay.
try. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she goes on, Lois continues and tells them that Neville has been in hiding for more than a month now. But each morning, Lois and Neville would call each other via holographic projections, because I guess everyone in
Okay.
New London, or if you're wealthy enough, you get your own hologram machine and you can make phone calls that way instead of regular phone calls. So you can like see the person and
Yeah.
move around with them, so to speak, as a hologram. So they do that every morning to check in on each other, make sure everything's okay, everything's safe given the circumstances of him being in hiding.
Hmm.
And this morning, while the two were on a call discussing, what Neville was up to or like how much longer he needed to be in hiding, basically, like Neville was saying something about, I just need to gather a little bit more of something to almost be ready to like return home and we can live normally again.
Okay.
But that call was abruptly ended when we see Neville, his hologram, running away from his wife and saying, "Oh no, they're on to me.
Okay, I
Don't
bet.
call the police." Before his hologram just totally fizzes out and like disappears as his wife is like running after him, saying, like, "No, no, no, come back, come back." So,
Call the police.
yes, except for he said, "Do not call the police."
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah,
don't
great
listen to
point.
him because, yeah. But that's why she called Sherlock Holmes instead of like Lestrade at
Yeah, I guess
Scotland
in my
Yard
head, calling the
because,
police was calling
yeah,
Sherlock.
yeah, right, exactly. Same
Yeah,
thing. And
okay,
because
yeah.
Watson is still police technically. So, like, I guess
Yeah.
they aren't telling her that maybe, which seems
His role is
unethical,
confusing.
but
Yeah.
whatever. Exactly. Yes. So, I guess kind of like a side note for the way this investigation goes is that for whatever reason, while Watson and Sherlock are driving over to the St. Clair home, Watson's like, "Hey, why don't you let me take this case? Like, I think I'm ready. I've been following you, studying you and taking notes for
Okay.
long enough. You've trained me well. Like, I feel like I'm ready to handle this one." And Holmes is just like, "Okay, you lead. I'll follow. Have at it. Let's
Okay.
go." So Sherlock
That's why
is
you
like
like this
low
episode so
key.
much.
I like
Finally,
Yeah.
Watson's in
Finally,
charge.
Watson gets his time to shine, but we know how that goes in the Sherlock Holmes story, so don't get too
Yeah.
excited for Watson here for
Yeah.
too long. But yeah, Sherlock is kind of playing a sidekick in this initial meeting that they're having
Yeah.
with Lois. He's just kind of like going around the house, scoping things out, picking up whatever visual clues he can get and kind of glean off of while they're there. And
Hmm.
Watson is, of course, probing Lois a little bit more for information, like asking her if Neville was caught up in some gambling debts or if he had some
Mm.
financial troubles that he was being blackmailed or threatened to quickly pay off, because that's kind of what that message, that hologram message sounded like. Like,
Yeah.
I almost have enough. If,
Right.
if I do this, whatever, then like
It'll
I
be
can come back
fine.
home and get out of debt or something, is what
Yeah.
Watson is like thinking this message was about. And so Lois admits that, yeah, okay, my husband, like, yeah, he had some gambling debts and like he was known to maybe be a little loose with the money sometimes, but all in all, like he is an upstanding person. He's an investment banker. Okay. You have to
Hmm.
you have to trust him. They never defraud
They
anyone.
never lie.
Remember, as we've discussed, they're rewriting history. They don't know.
Also,
Yeah.
ma'am, he faked his own death already. He's a fine
Hmm.
person. He's totally chill now. Has she said anything about why he faked his
Clearly
own death?
something's up. Yes, which she knows too, because she knows that he's faked his death and that
Yeah.
he's on the run from someone.
Yeah.
And she alludes that, like, yeah, mobsters are obviously after him. She says that basically
Because
in a
he's an
second
investment
here.
banker.
Yeah, and he's never hurt anyone. Mobsters are only out of people that are the good
That
people.
that
Only mobsters go after good people. They never go
famously
after
they
bad people.
no, they never
Yeah,
go after people who betrayed them, not paid debts,
exactly. Never.
narked
Yeah.
on them, nothing.
Nothing. Only upstanding citizens. That's it.
Innocent people.
Right. Investment
Okay.
bankers, for
Oh, he
example.
said the same thing. Mm.
Yeah. So, in his kind of like us, in his kindest voice possible here, Watson's like, oh, honey.
Oh, honey,
Oh,
no.
oh, sweetie. Lois, listen, Neville didn't want to involve the police in any of this, remember? Like, and
Yeah.
no one just goes into hiding out of the kindness of
Or
their heart.
fakes their own death,
Yeah.
including a fake
Fake
police
police
report
report.
because they're
Exactly.
chill.
Yeah, like so that's nice of you, Lois. I know you love your husband very much, but I
Mm.
think he was clearly going through some sort of situation where he's trying to pay a debt back to someone that he really owes. Like he's clearly trying to gather enough money to get out of this debt. His creditors seem to have caught up to him, and
Yeah.
they're now obviously trying to like force his hand, even if by violence, it would appear.
Yeah.
And so Lois sighs and she admits, like, yeah, he does like gambling and maybe he could get a little out of hand with it every now and again. So, yeah,
Lois.
he went into hiding 38 days ago so that he could fake his death and hide from the mobsters that he owes money to.
Lois.
But clearly, we just couldn't get past these mobsters because they obviously caught up with him today. And so Watson is like, don't worry. As soon as we figure out who the debts are to or what sort of debts your husband was in or is in, we'll be able to track down these kidnappers, mobsters,
Mhm.
criminals, whatever, and we'll find him. And Watson is kind of thinking out loud here with Sherlock saying, like, it's got to be related to his employment records, right? Like, we know that he's an investment banker, so let's track down which bank he works with or which, company
Mm.
he works with. And then we can like start there with our investigation, figure out maybe who he's loaned money to as a banker, but
Yeah.
also who has loaned him money in his personal life, et cetera. So we'll find his employment information. We'll go and find his personal financial records.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll track this down, Lois, and we'll be back with your husband. So Lois thanks them, and as they're leaving, Sherlock also asks for like the memory disk for all the recent holographic calls between her and her husband, so that they
Mm.
can use those to like sift through any information and like figure out other clues or
Yeah.
details in this investigation. So Watson and Sherlock leave the St. Clair house to get started on all of this work. But as they're leaving, they see an old, poor man in tattered clothing with like long, greasy gray hair
Uh-huh.
and a scar over his lip, who they just straight up describe as a panhandler.
Uh-huh.
He's like lurking around the neighborhood, and he seems really fixated on the St. Clair home in particular, which is obviously very discomforting for Sherlock, knowing like Lois is in there alone and stuff, and
Yeah,
this old creepy, like
that's
possibly panhandler is just kind of like hiding in the bushes nearby and
hiding the bushes.
everything.
Well,
Yeah, he's in
even
bushes
them,
and he like runs away once Sherlock like looks at him. Basically, he's like,
I was
he's
gonna
on me, and he
say,
leaves.
like, even them
Yeah,
just leaving her alone when the
with that.
mob is not only potentially after her husband for debts,
Yeah.
thus then their family, thus also if your husband's going far enough to fake his own death, don't you want to,
You should be worried too.
you
Yeah.
should be worried for her safety and like bring her with, stand
Yeah.
guard, bring her
Or
with
put
you,
multiple officers
maybe
outside of
bring
her
into
house.
Scotland Yard to, yeah, like get
Yeah.
some protection on her. Just, I don't know,
hmm
just a thought that
hmm
if someone's faking their own death, which is that illegal? That's got to be fraud, right?
I think, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're trying to get your insurance benefits out of it or some sort of like lost life
Or you're
policy
avoiding
out
a
of it,
debt. Yeah.
exactly, then like, yeah, for that, it would be fraud of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah,
So in this case,
which,
depending on who he owes the debt to, it very
yeah,
well
could
could,
be
yeah,
fraud.
be
And she
fraud.
clearly
Yeah.
knows about the fake
Uh-huh.
death.
So she's an
So
accomplice.
at the very
hmm
least, bring her in for questioning on that for her safety for the time
hmm
being.
Yeah, at the very least, but at most bring her in so that she's in a controlled environment where no one can hurt
Yes.
her either. But I guess
Yes.
the theory here is that if the mob thinks he's dead, which I guess as of this morning they don't, but maybe up
Right. That's
until
why I
this
was like, because
morning
that's
they
the
did,
thing.
then it's
38
like
days
she's like, oh,
ago,
they
she
don't
was
want
fine.
anything to do with me exactly
No,
because they think he's dead. So
girl,
like they don't need me. It's all his debt, not mine. But
girly.
yeah, now they know that he's not dead apparently because that's why you've called Sherlock. So now you
Yes.
should be very concerned for your safety.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah,
also,
but this
someone
is like a
dying doesn't
mansion they
erase
live
their
in
debt.
too.
Like,
No, also true. Yeah, but again,
the
yes,
mob will
no,
want you still.
right. Not even reasonable for real for her to think that like, oh yeah, if he's dead, they won't want anything to do with me.
Yeah.
Like, no, not
No,
necessarily. It depends. I don't think that this is like a gracious mob. We'll put it that way. I don't think that they're gonna
no. Be
like,
like, oh,
you
our
know what?
bad. We'll
We'll
forget
leave
about it.
that
Forget
one.
about
Don't
it.
worry. Exactly. Forget about
Forget
it.
about it.
Nah. So yeah,
Okay,
and they live in
Lois.
like a massive mansion because again, he's an investment banker, at least you know what she's saying. So like they
This
got
girl.
money, like something's going on. Yeah.
Okay,
So
bad.
nonetheless, they leave this house and yeah, they see this creepy guy sneaking about. And as soon as Holmes kind of like points him out and looks at him, he just runs away back into the bushes somewhere in the neighborhood. So they're like,
Great.
okay, cool. Probably safe to leave Lois at home.
Bye.
Let's continue at
This
home alone.
huge
Let's
house
continue
by
this
herself
investigation.
with no
Yep,
security.
yep.
Okay,
No
whatever.
security. She's fine. So the duo kind of splits up from here because, like I said before, Holmes is
Oh
allowing
yeah.
Watson to take over this case, to take the lead. But when Watson says that he's going to go look for employment records for Neville St. Clair, Sherlock is like, okay, yeah, sounds good. Can you drop me back off at Baker Street?
Have
And
fun.
Watson's like, yeah, exactly. Like, have fun with that. I got to get some work done at home. And Watson's like, but I thought we were starting our
Uh-huh.
investigation. And Holmes is like, yeah, sure, you go there. I'll go home. I got some other stuff to look into. We'll meet up
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Okay. And Watson's like, "Ah, he's obviously jealous because I'm doing such a good
I'm
job with this
so good at this.
investigation. Okay, sure. I'll drop you off at home, buddy.
Cute.
Okay. That's nice of you. But we see Sherlock at Baker Street going through the evidence. He's just like replaying the hologram call from this morning, the one where
Mm.
we saw Neville go missing. And basically, he's just replaying it over and over. And at first, he's like watching the full video, and then he isolates the audio, and then he's just like replaying only the audio, like closing his eyes and listening very, very closely to see whatever information he can glean from Neville
Hmm.
in that call. And he finally hears a clue. Behind Neville's panicked voice as he's talking to Lois about they're on to me, don't call the police, etc., Sherlock hears in the distance, in the near distance, so not even like super far away, but like in the background, he hears a ship's horn and he hears like a rail car of some sort passing by. And I think he hears like some seagulls or something like that too.
Okay.
So he thinks for a couple seconds longer and was like, okay, this call took place at 7 a.m. this morning, according to the file. I know where you took this call from because he's like, oh, ships by the river, rail car. That means there's a spot where the monorail goes over the river at 7 a.m. And he's like, okay, there's only one spot. Exactly. There's only one monorail line that crosses the river at 7 a.m.
Okay.
Therefore, that must be where he made this call
from. Hiding. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
So he calls up Watson and tells him to meet there. And they do a bit later that evening. They are outside of this like abandoned warehouse on the river, probably the Thames. And Watson at first is really confused as to why they're there. He's like, this doesn't seem at all related.
Looking at a bank account?
No. This isn't checking in with every bank about where Neville St. Clair works.
Talking to his employer.
Yeah. But Sherlock is like, au contraire, my dear friend, this is the perfect location to be in. And he points to a building across from them and he says, that right there is Neville St. Clair's hideout. That is where he called his wife from this morning. And that is likely where he was kidnapped from or attacked in, aka the scene of our crime today.
Yeah.
So Sherlock asks Watson, as they're like walking into this building, Sherlock is like, speaking of evidence, have you gotten any new information in your end of the investigation, Watson? But unfortunately, Watson just lowers his head and shakes his head and says, I know, don't be down on yourself, buddy. And he says, unfortunately, I've disproven my own theory of the case. Because you see, he went to look for any records indicating that Neville worked as an investment banker, and he couldn't find a single one. Not for anyone in New London, not for anyone anywhere for that matter. And even more puzzling, Watson found out that Neville actually had no sort of gambling or financial debts in his name. Like not an IOU, not any sort of payments outstanding, anything like that. And in fact, according to every single thing that Watson could find, Neville is actually pretty freaking wealthy and is doing quite all right financially. Which I was like, oh, well, I guess that's good. But then I was like, damn, so you just lied to your wife like that?
Yeah. That's why I was thinking, like, is Lois lying? Is he lying to his wife?
You're right.
Okay.
So from Watson's estimation, it means that Neville is lying both to his wife and therefore to Watson and like the police officers as well, because they're getting their story from the wife. So he's like, I've been fooled just like Lois was. So he seems to think that Lois is telling the truth and that Neville is actually lying to her, which is crazy because like you usually lie in the other direction. Like, no, I'm not in any debts, honey. Like, we're fine.
Like,
not,
honey,
oh my God, we're in so much debt.
I should probably take my own death, right?
Yeah.
That's the only solution, I think. It's the mob.
Like, whoa. No, we're not in debt. You don't have to do any of that. Yeah.
But let me just do a little vacay for about a month and then, I don't know, I'll get
it's
stuff.
a sign of how much I love you.
And I'll be fine.
Safe. Yeah. I want to stay away from you for 38 days.
Yeah. Don't worry about why or where I am. Don't look at, the fun festival schedule coming through New London. Don't look at the plane tickets I'm booking for two, not with you, but
or anything like that where I might be found and
don't worry about
drunker,
it. This is for you, not me. Not me.
It's for both of us, actually. We're going to be so much happier together when the 38 or however many days are over.
I decided, it takes. It'll be fine. This is for us.
For us. Shh. So, it's funny too, because like I said, Watson was like hanging his head at this, like, damn, I guess I'm not doing as good at investigating this case as I thought I was, Sherlock. But Sherlock lifts his spirits a little bit. He's like, no, Watson, like, good work, honestly, because now you've disproved a very, reasonable theory of this case. Yeah. So now that means we're narrowing down our options on like what the possible outcome here is. So don't hold your head too low because that was useful finding out nothing. Finding
Yes.
nothing was actually
Finding
helpful
nothing
in
was
this
something.
case. Yes. So thumbs up. Thanks, buddy. So the two of them sneak into this rundown, like abandoned warehouse, and they go up a bunch of stairs until they see a door that is slightly ajar. It's probably on like one of the very top floors of this building, so pretty high up at this point. And they open up the door a little bit more and walk into this room, and they see like makeshift living arrangements. Basically, like a stockpile of food on a bunch of shelves, a bunch of storage space, a bed, like a hologram projector that's bashed in and destroyed on the
Oh,
floor.
okay.
Note, a desk table with like a full vanity with like light bulbs lining the
Uh-huh.
perimeter and everything. But there's also a half melted candle on top of the desk. And then there's
Okay.
also a bunch of stage makeup and some like, coins and stuff just scattered about the room.
Okay.
So a lot of interesting clues, and they're
Creepy.
kind of pointing each thing out, and Sherlock's just looking at each thing and trying to like take a few mental notes about like, well, why would that be here? Why would that be here? What's the
Yeah.
purpose of this? And so they also notice an antique retractable clothesline, a
Okay.
lot of fallen and loose pocket change, like I said before. And there's a window in the room that's opened, and there are black footprints and shoe scuffs, or like shoe prints, I should say, not footprints, and
Yeah.
shoe scuffs on the windowsill. Unfortunately,
Okay.
according to Watson, as he's looking at all this stuff, he says that it appears that Mr. St. Clair was attacked and pushed out of the window and into the river, thus
Oh.
falling to his death, and thus leaving all the loose coins on the floor by the window.
Oh,
And
is this getting
likely
like
there
pushed
will be
out?
more. Exactly. They like it's like Sonic, you get hit and all the rings fall out of Sonic. Coins go everywhere. And Watson is
Okay.
like, it's really foggy out today, but I guarantee you, I'm going to go down there and investigate. And I guarantee you, I'm going to find more coins on the ground out there by the river directly underneath this
Okay. From when he
window,
was being
further
yeeted out the
proving
window,
exactly. And the
raining
coins just
coins.
projectile floated
Pew
out of his pockets
pew 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 pew.
as he plopped into the
Okay.
river. So
Interesting.
Sherlock is like, that could be an explanation. Sure. And Watson's like, perfect. So let's go
I'll
get
go
that
check it out.
evidence from downstairs and we'll wrap this up and head back to HQ,
You
right?
solved nothing, actually.
Oh,
I'm like,
and
as
Sherlock,
Watson is doing
yeah,
this, I'm like, Watson, did you write the first police report? Like, no
it
investigation.
would have been written by a robot too,
A clear
AI.
moonlight. Yes, of course. Not a foggy cloud in
Hmm.
the sky.
They call it like an AI hallucination, just making
Yes,
shit up.
exactly.
An AI just says whatever it wants.
What the
That's
fuck
what
it feels
Watson
like.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And was like, I wrote it. I did it. And was so
Yeah,
confused when
sure.
Lois walked in. He was like, how?
Does not compute.
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
What? What are you doing here?
Oh, disappeared
Oh
this
man.
morning?
This
Where have you
morning, just
been?
like short circuits.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, Sherlock's like, sure, that could be an explanation. And Watson goes out. He's like, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to go down and get those extra coins for evidence down there and just, I guess, cordon off that area. And I'll meet you down there and we'll head back into the HQ. And Sherlock's like, you go ahead. I think
Hmm.
the answers that I seek are still in this room,
Okay.
or they soon will be. So it's almost like
Oh,
Sherlock is waiting for something. Like he
yeah.
knows, like, wait a minute, something's not
S-
right here.
Something or
And of
someone?
course, something or someone. Yes.
Okay.
It's a moon hound. No, I'm joking. But
And Rabid Lestrade
yeah.
riding the moonhound.
But she's like growling while riding it on its back.
Also
Yeah,
rabid.
it's
Yeah, both rabid.
yeah, why not? Of course, we never doubt, or we never doubt the deductive reasoning. We never doubt the deductive
Yes, yes, yes,
reasoning
yes.
because shortly after Watson leaves the room and heads outside, Sherlock kind of like you see his eyes go side to side, like
Uh,
darting, looking out of the window, looking down the hallway outside of the door, and he runs and hides behind the room's door. as he hears much
Okay.
softer and non-robotic footsteps approaching the room.
Okay.
And in walks the panhandler, the man with the
Oh,
scarred lip, the twisted lip,
twisted
if
lip,
you
if you
will.
will.
Yes, who we saw lurking around the St. Clair estate earlier. And Sherlock, after the man fully walks into the room, he closes the door behind him and says, "Returning to the scene of the crime, are we?" But the
Ooh.
panhandler, he panics when he turns around and sees Sherlock
Yeah,
behind
and
him.
sees a
And he,
stranger in his room.
yeah, right, exactly. But Sherlock is smart. He closed the door because he's like, there's only one way you can get
Oh
out now,
yeah.
and it's that window. And we're very high up right now.
And
So
also
fight
Watson's
me,
right
bitch.
outside of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So
Okay.
come on, choices here. And so, yes, the man, though, he lashes out. He's like, well, I guess if I'm going to get out of here, I'm going to fight you to force my way out. And he
Okay.
does. He attacks Sherlock by just like pushing him onto the bed before running and grabbing a tin cup full of coins off of the desk, attaching himself to that retractable clothesline. He just like clips it onto his
Uh-huh.
waist belt or something, and he rappels down the side. He literally jumps out of the
Repels.
window with this clothesline and starts just rappelling down the side of the warehouse in a
This is a man
grand
with a
exit.
plan.
A man with a plan, not just with a pan, but with a plan.
A man with a pan and a plan? Unstoppable.
Yeah. He's a plan handler, not just a panhandler.
Not your average panhandler. I don't think so.
No,
I think he's got all
no,
these
he is
coins.
not.
He's got a plan.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So
wow.
Sherlock runs to the window. It's
Unexpected.
intense. It's a really cool fight scene too. The fighting and like there's some chase scenes in this episode that are
Yeah.
awesome too. So just you'll love that when you watch it. But so yeah, they fight and he runs out of the window. And then Sherlock, he like is able to get himself back up off the bed and he runs
Uh,
over to the window and tells Watson, like, hey, look out, he's coming your way. He's coming down right now.
yeah.
Poor Watson, though. He's just like, huh? And as soon as he says huh and looks up, the panhandler just like lands on him.
Man with a plan.
Plan and pan.
Oh
He's rolling it.
God.
He's running it. And of course, because it's all just so disorienting, Watson's like, oh shit, it's you, the dude with the twisted lip, the man with the twisted lip.
Right, what do I
And the
do?
panhandler just runs away.
Into the
So
fog. Okay.
Watson, yeah, exactly into the
Oh,
fog. And
Watson.
Watson, he's not able to catch him because it is difficult to see through this thick fog along the river. But eventually, Watson just sees like a hover tow truck or truck of some sort just take off from a nearby lot. And it's like speeding away very
Okay.
obviously sussly,
On the
like
run.
super sus. Exactly. And so he's like, boom, that's him. Let's chase after that truck. So he runs after the truck and he does like latch onto it and grab it.
Uh,
But obviously the panhandler feels Watson on the back of his
yeah.
car or his hover car and like a massive, probably like a one
Of
ton freaking
metal.
robot latching on, yeah, of metal. But he is like, all right, well, I'm not pulling over. So he just starts to very erratically drive through the streets of New London, like trying to
Mm.
shake Watson off the vehicle, trying to just get him off of his car however he can. And eventually the panhandler does shake Watson off, which very terrifyingly sends Watson just quickly falling down towards the ground. Like he's
Oh,
hundreds
this
of
is a
feet
hover
up in the
car.
sky hovering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hover car, not a regular car, a hover car. So Watson
Oh.
is just falling and falling and falling until
Bye.
thankfully he is caught. See ya, gonna have to get a new CompuDroid, I guess.
Bye. Sorry.
Bye. But he is thankfully caught by Sherlock Holmes, who was not too far behind
Okay.
them in this chase. And once Watson is
Good.
able to safely make his way back into Sherlock's hover car,
Mhm.
Sherlock speeds up to catch back up with the panhandler and continue
Okay.
chasing him. Sherlock is obviously getting a lot better at driving now that he understands how things
Yes.
work.
Okay.
And he notices a pattern in the direction that the panhandler is moving. And he
Okay.
tells Watson, like, okay, he keeps making really sharp right turns. So maybe if we just speed up a few blocks ahead, we can cut him off real quick.
Okay.
And so they do. They speed up, they cut him off because they anticipate the next right turn that he's about to make. And unfortunately, it sends the hover car swerving out of control and crashing literally directly into New Scotland Yard's headquarter building.
Saved a trip.
Convenient.
Also, he learned to drive from Lestrade.
Yeah.
What do you think taught
He's
him how to
like,
drive
isn't
a
that how you
hovercar?
do it? Like holding the wheel like this, which always, can I
And
just say for
Lestrade's
people
like,
watching on YouTube, you can see like the erratic steering
yes.
wheel motions, which
Lestrade's like,
I
but
hate
more
when,
gas.
yeah, yeah,
Faster
floor
though.
it, floor it, floor it. But
Faster.
I just
Faster.
side note, I hate whenever shows have people like
Yes, and
driving
they're
like
driving like
this. Or
this.
whatever. Could you imagine driving down the highway with your
Just car would be pulled over so fast.
all
Everyone would be
over the
calling.
place? Yeah. Anyways, so it's funny that you said that because Watson is also like, oh, hey, look at that. New Scotland Yard.
We're here.
That was perfect. We're here.
Easy.
And Sherlock's like, yeah, I didn't mean to like go that hard. Sorry. I didn't mean for him to like head first, nosedive, crash
Into the
into a
building.
building. Like, I hope he's okay in there. But like, yeah, two birds, one stone, I guess.
Yeah.
But then Sherlock also says, like, although kind of looked like he was already heading in this direction. So, like, interesting. Which at this point I said, okay, Mr. Panhandler, man with the twisted lip, file a lawsuit right now. Sherlock knew you were going in this direction and he
And
still
yet,
forced you to crash into
crash.
it. Yeah. And also he just forced you to crash. Like he just
Yeah,
said it
to begin
himself.
with.
Oops. Yeah.
And also not law enforcement. Not neither who was law
I haven't
enforcement,
seen
but
a
he's
single
certainly
badge.
not. This is
You
just
haven't ID'd yourself a bit.
yeah, this is just a man on the street for all this man is
Exactly.
who broke into his home and then chased him out of his
More on
home
that
and
in a
then forced
moment.
him to crash. Yeah, this
Exactly.
is
And then exactly.
this
File
is
that lawsuit.
that's
Like,
call
yeah,
that
you
lawyer
better be going to he's actually going to New Scotland Yard
to
to report the
report.
people that broke in his home.
Yeah, he's like, now they're like chasing after me, so I went to
You
the
have to help
safer
me.
place. Please
Yeah.
help. I'm hoping he gets off my tail if I show up here. Oh God, he's literally on my tail.
So inside of the HQ, we basically see just that, the panhandler, the man with a twisted lip going through booking. You know, he's getting his mug shot. He's getting ready
What
to
is
like
he
be
getting
led into a
arrested
room for
for?
interrogation. So we don't know yet, but we know he's turned himself in. And the reason we don't know yet is because, yeah, he's turned himself in. That's why he was going there. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. No, so he truly was
Yeah.
like,
So I guess, yeah, I probably skipped over that. I did write it in here somewhere. Like, yeah, so he was either headed directly to Scotland Yard, either to turn himself in or to file another report of his own. But in this case, we can assume he's turning himself in because he's getting booked, you know?
okay.
So it's like,
Wow.
oh, okay. But yeah, we don't know what for yet, but he must have told them something, which at this point, it's New Scotland Yard. You could tell them anything and they'll be like, all right, come with us. Another person we got to lobotomize, guys. Bring him in. Yeah.
Gotta hit our numbers. Like instead of traffic cops having to hit their numbers, their speeding ticket numbers, you gotta hit your lobotomy
straight up
numbers.
Police officer. Yeah.
Every month.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Dark.
Really. So, yeah, he's being led off into a room for interrogation. And in a different room, almost like behind the double glass, we see Holmes and Watson finally now catching up with Lestrade. And like now their private detective case is intervening with an actual law enforcement investigation, thankfully.
Yes.
And so Lestrade's been going through the evidence related to this panhandler, because I guess they, you know, stripped him when he got in. They took the things out of his car, I guess, or whatever he came in with, and they've been running it through evidence or all of that, or doing some forensic testing on it. And Lestrade tells Watson and Holmes that the coat that he was wearing was tested for DNA, and the only DNA found on that coat was that of Neville St. Clair's.
Okay.
And so now she's like, obviously this panhandler who has identified himself as Boone, he must have been involved in Neville St. Clair's murder a little over a month ago.
Oh, we have something to tell you. Oh, actually.
And that's literally what Watson does. Watson's like,
Sherlock over here.
He pulls Sherlock over to the side, like, hey,
girl.
So, not even Lestrade, just Sherlock. Watson only pulls Sherlock over to the side. And he's like,
what should we do?
Literally, like, I know that you put me in charge of this one, but in your opinion, what should we tell her? Like, hey, we're the only ones here that know that Neville actually went missing today.
And he faked his own death a month
38
ago.
days ago. Yeah, and that there's a fake police report.
Also, that there's been
Lestrade
like,
doesn't know.
yeah, a big police report, which means a cop's in on it, and also a whole month of wasted resources.
Yeah.
Trying to solve the
I mean, the
murder.
resources, obviously, we don't care about. These expense reports have been getting out of hand for a long time now.
Which, by the
There was
way,
whispering for like
itemize
10
that.
minutes, and Lestrade is right there, just looking at it like, the fuck are you guys talking about?
The panhandler can like hear them like, hello?
Yeah. Is there someone on the other side of that mirror?
Very quickly whispering, but loudly.
You look over and like Watson is leaning on the intercom button, whispering through the intercom. All of New Scotland Yard is just like,
Wait, that wasn't a murder?
Wait, Neville St. Clair is alive? This wealthy financial investment banker who we all know. Oh man, but yeah, so they have their little powwow on the side here, like, you tell her, no, you gotta tell her. No, I'm not telling her, you tell her. What do you do? You tell her. Somebody else to tell her. Somebody tell her. But before they tell her, Sherlock, he looks out of like the double glass window and he sees that there are some unusual law enforcement officer guests, if you will, joining them in the booking and like processing of this seemingly lowly panhandler.
Okay.
Particularly British Special Intelligence. So like the British CIA, basically.
Oh. It's like MI6 is in here now.
Or maybe FBI because it's domestic, I guess. I don't know.
But still.
But he, like seemingly high
here
for a panhandler, right? Yeah, like what? Yeah, the feds are here, which hilariously, like Lestrade and Sherlock and Watson are obviously like, ugh, what are they doing here? Like, they never help.
Get them out.
Like, yeah, and Lestrade's like, well, they're not here for their intelligence, that's for sure.
Damn.
And, yeah, I know, right? Hey, just the messengers.
Hey, just the messenger.
Sorry. I apologize to the king,
what I saw.
but they said it, not me. So he's like asking, like, what are they doing here? That seems unusual. And Lestrade tells them that basically they've been trying to force their way into the Yard's Night Ravens investigation, if you recall from earlier in the episode. They're trying to close in on this crime syndicate in New London. And so she's like, yeah, man, this morning they came here and they just won't stop pestering us about this Night Ravens case. And they're trying to get access to our files, trying to force their way into this shit, like clearly annoyed. Like, hey, back off. Yeah. This is our jurisdiction. Like, you guys go do your shit. We're going to do ours. Common issue in the police world.
I was going to say very common.
Yeah. Like, this is our jurisdiction. This is our turf. So Sherlock suggests, like, maybe it's not just the Night Ravens case that they're interested in, but maybe also the St. Clair mystery. And then Sherlock looks
the mystery about the murder that most definitely occurred 38 days
happened
ago.
38 days ago. Yes, that one, Lestrade, that. No other questions. But no, he only probes for a little bit more information before coming clean about that. So he asks Lestrade, like, okay, has Boone provided any statements yet? Has he offered up any information? And Lestrade's like, not yet. We're still processing him. We're still trying to get him booked, and then he'll go to interrogation after that. And we'll know a lot more after we get his fingerprints and DNA samples returned back to us. And so Sherlock then says, who else may have had the means or the will to falsify a police report in your assumption? Just like casually asking Lestrade. And Lestrade's like, wait, what? Like,
why
do you explain? Yeah, what's this about a false police report?
Yeah.
And this is when Holmes comes clean.
Okay.
And tells her that Neville was not killed 38 days ago. At worst, he was killed this morning, but at best, he's still alive and is just missing. And his homicide a month ago was obviously just a ruse.
Yeah.
And listen, if I were Lestrade, I would be like, holy shit, oh my God, like, wow,
This
okay,
is
we have so
huge
much
news.
work to, this is huge. But she's like, well, it doesn't matter when or if he was killed. Boone has something to do with it. So let's go, let's go interrogate him, which I mean is true, but like there should be more urgency. Like this is a massive revelation. And she's
This
like, okay,
is
well, I guess we better hurry up and interview Boone then to figure it out because he obviously has something to do with it. Like, no, I would call the
call the
family. Like, even though like the men know that Lois is aware of this, his
yeah.
Neville's wife, but like Lestrade doesn't know this, I guess. Like she
Also,
should be
and
like, oh my God,
like
we
we
need
got
to
to
have a
go
whole new
talk to
crime to
this is
investigate.
above me. This is above my pay grade. We need to talk to someone in
Yeah.
charge because
Where's
this also means
Grayson?
that somewhere within here, within the system,
Yeah.
someone has been
Some
corrupted
the
and is
report's
false. Yeah.
wrong.
Like we need to
Exactly.
that's a huge we got to go talk to someone now
Exactly.
above
The
us.
internal corruption is bubbling over right
Yes,
now. And she's just
exactly.
like, oh, well, I guess we should interview. I guess we should interrogate Boone now because he obviously knows something
Which like
about
yeah,
it.
get one
Like,
officer
ma'am,
on that,
flip
another 10
tables over.
officers. Yeah.
This is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, give him a Coca-Cola, let him stay there for a little bit. Go talk to the
Hmm.
Inspector Grayson. Go try and unravel. You got a lot
Yeah.
more to do than just talk to one
That's a
guy.
lot. Yeah. And she's
The
like, I feel
paperwork
like a lot of
alone,
work. Yeah.
okay. This
Listen,
is
that's a lot of work.
listen,
We should
let's
just let
try.
the feds take over.
You know
Maybe
what?
they're already
Honestly,
here for
maybe.
whatever reason.
Honestly, Lestrade, maybe. If this is
Actually,
your approach
actually, probably,
and the
actually.
call is coming from inside the house of this police report, maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, she's unfortunately not taking it as seriously as I would like her to, but she is
Yeah.
still like, all right, well, let's get this interview going. Let's figure out more information. But before they can actually start the interrogation, the federal agents come in and tell the Yardies that they'll take over from here. Basically, they walk up to Boone, who is now like in handcuffs and everything,
Uh-huh.
and they just take him. And the Yardies are just like, okay, like you guys obviously are pulling rank here. Like we're not gonna step
Um,
on your toes. Like
um,
let us know if you need our help for anything, but take him. And
call
interestingly
Grayson.
enough, yeah, right, you should be.
Mm,
Interestingly enough, when Boone sees that, like, so he seemed calm and fine and ready to cooperate when it was
uh-huh.
just the Yardies that he was dealing with. But as soon as he sees these two federal agents walk in and say they're taking him from there, he visibly panics and like you can see fear in his face. And he's like,
Oh no.
yeah. So he's like, oh
Maybe
no,
don't
this is
call the
not.
feds. Maybe
Yeah.
don't call the feds about
Maybe
the
something's up with these
corruption.
feds.
Okay.
Yeah. The call is coming
Okay.
from inside the house and coming from the top, perhaps,
Yeah, Thomas from
maybe.
that top floor there. Okay.
So, yeah. Interestingly, Boone, I mean, he shouldn't be happy to be arrested by anyone, but he seems particularly unhappy and
Said,
fearful of
yeah.
the fact that he's being taken by these federal agents.
Okay.
So, Sherlock, Watson, and Lestrade are like, okay, yeah, there's a lot of loose threads here. Something is
Yeah.
clearly not right. Like we were so close to figuring out something with him, and they come in out of nowhere and take him, and he looks very scared by it when he didn't look scared to deal with us. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, sure, there's some explanations there, maybe, but nonetheless, Sherlock is like, I need to put these pieces of the puzzle together much better. So he
Yes.
goes back to the St. Clair estate and just kind of like scopes things out a bit more in the neighborhood. And he notices that the house across the street from them has like a satellite in the window on a wall facing the St. Clair house, like a dish. I mean, I guess maybe not like a satellite, but it's clearly like some sort of radar detect. It looks like a satellite dish, but it's like some
Yeah.
sort of communication device, obviously. And he
Okay.
sees that and he's like, okay, interesting. And he's just like taking some more clues of the
Yeah,
environment
taking note.
around him. And then he goes back to Scotland Yard's HQ and he meets up again with Watson and Lestrade. And he lays down the biggest, like, boom, done. Here we go. I figured it out that you could ever
Okay.
imagine. He's just like, guys, figured it out. Neville St. Clair was an imposter living a double life. He was not an investment banker. nor a gambler, which we have found out for fact now from the
Yes.
record, lack thereof, any records to,
Yeah, yeah.
that sentiment or whatever, that notion. But rather, Sherlock tells them, he was a high-ranking member
Oh no.
of the Night Ravens.
Oh.
Yeah, I got it.
Well,
Uh-huh.
here's the thing. I was worried that you were going to
Yes.
say of the feds,
The
like that
feds,
he was like a
exactly.
spy leaving a double life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
At one point, I had wondered if he was part of the Ravens, and then the feds coming in made me think that he was a double agent on the feds, and I forgot
Mm-hmm.
all about the Night Ravens,
The Night
frankly.
Ravens, yes. So,
Lois.
Lestrade
Poor
and
Lois.
Watson. I know, poor Lois, really though. And like at the end of the day, this whole episode is just like, God damn, poor Lois. Man, she had no clue. And you can tell she really loves her husband too. Like she's so distraught. She's so worried about him when we see like their holographic calls. She's obviously so worried. Like, are you eating? Are you
Oh,
okay? Like, are you
no.
resting? Are you sleeping? When can we be together again? So yeah, at the end of the day for this episode, I'm just like, God, that poor wife, man, she
Poor
is.
woman. Yeah.
But many more details to unravel
Okay,
here.
okay.
So yeah, Watson and Lestrade are a lot like you. They're shocked to hear this. They're like, and Sherlock stops them like, let me finish. I'll
Okay,
explain.
okay, okay, okay.
And so he elaborates. There was evidence in the St. Clair estate that seemed to suggest that Neville had been an actor at one time much earlier in his life when he was a much
Okay.
younger man. So Sherlock, seeing that at one point Neville was an actor, decided to run a few simulations basically on a computer to see what Neville would look like in different costumes because basically he
Mm,
saw like a movie poster or a theater poster that Neville was on.
was
And
on,
in the
yeah.
picture, like in the makeup and everything, he was like, oh man, he looks really different there, but he also looks like someone else I've seen before. What's going on
Yeah,
here?
yeah.
And so when he ran some simulations in different costumes, he realized that one of those costumes made Neville look absolutely identical to the Night Raven's crime boss who has been missing for more than a
Oh,
month now,
that's right.
Zuber, who we heard about in the
That's right,
beginning. And I
right.
buried the lead a little bit, but it turns out Zuber, it's not just been a little over a month, it's been exactly
38
38
days?
days that he also has been missing.
Okay. Wow, New Scotland
So
Yard.
Holmes,
Wow.
they're really bad,
Right
really
there.
bad. Yeah, because I even have a note somewhere in here saying like, wow, that should have been a very easy thing to pick up
Yeah,
on
to put
for
one to with
Scotland
another.
Yard. Yeah, like, oh, this
Okay.
guy mysteriously died 38 days ago, and this other guy went missing 38
At the
days
exact
ago
same
at
time.
the exact same time, the same day. Interesting. They may have something to do with each other, but
Yeah.
nope, never seemed to cross their mind.
Okay.
So Holmes suggests that Neville was working as an undercover agent. Just wait for British intelligence. So
Okay,
you
thank you.
were right.
Thank you.
You were right.
Because I truly
Yes.
like, yeah, earlier on I was like, oh, I bet he's a night raven. And then when you were like, the feds showed up and they were a little sus, my conspiracy
Mm-hmm.
brain was like, pew, 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 pew. But I forgot about the night ravens entirely. I was like,
Yep.
he's a spy and he did something fucked up and he's on the run from the feds themselves, like
Mm-hmm.
from his old bosses
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yes.
But I forgot about the night ravens
Yeah, he
entirely.
was a
Okay.
spy in the Night Ravens and got
Yes.
caught and fucked up, and now he's on the run from them. Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
So, yes, Holmes says he was working undercover for British intelligence, trying to pull the rug from under the Night Ravens, and he
Mm.
infiltrated the gang deeply enough because of his impeccable acting skills, obviously, to become a leading member, aka Zuber.
Uh-huh.
But eventually his cover was blown, I guess 38 days
Yeah.
ago. And as a result, he had to go into hiding to avoid retaliation by the Night Ravens. And by going into hiding, he effectively was killing both Zuber and his regular ID of
Oh,
Neville St. Clair
yeah.
so that he also could protect his wife in the event that they found out that they were one and the same person. So,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't think the Night Ravens knew that Neville St. Clair
Was
was
Neville
this
St. Clair.
man. Exactly, but they knew
Okay.
that Zuber was like a mole or something for the British
Yes.
intelligence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So before they actually linked Zuber to Neville St. Clair, Neville was like, well, let me kill both of them so that even if they
They
do
can never
find
link
out,
them.
exactly, right, they can either
Okay.
never link them or even if they do, I'm already dead. Neville's dead. So there's nothing they can
Right.
do, and my wife is safe, hopefully, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So This now explains, like, the reported disappearances of both men 38 days ago, which, like I said before, kind of seemed like it would have been an easy thing to piece together, or should have been. Not too great of work done here by Neville or Scotland Yard, in my opinion. Like, the Black Raven or Night Ravens could very easily come back and find, I feel like, that he was Neville because of that small fact, but whatever. But in his final hologram call to his wife from earlier in the morning, Sherlock explains that it was not money that Neville was claiming to have almost enough of.
Right.
Rather, it was information or intelligence.
Evidence. Okay.
He almost had enough information on the Night Ravens to be free of this double agent life, exactly, and to bring them down so that he could return home to Lois. So Sherlock suggests that Neville was super close. He had almost enough to blow the cover on the Night Ravens just before they caught on to him and he had to run into hiding.
Yeah.
So they're replaying the audio from this last hologram call in, like, Lestrade's office or whatever. And Lestrade, at the very end of the call, she hears like an interesting sound, like little like technological sound playing at the end of the video. And she's like, Holmes, did you hear that? And he's like, yeah, but I thought it was just like a sound from the computer. Like, what is it? And she says it's a burst message, which basically is like, they're like these little encrypted like soundbite messages that law enforcement officers apparently will put in this world. I do not think this actually exists, but they put them into video messages as like just little sounds. And that sound can be decoded and like downloaded onto a law enforcement data server or
like,
something.
So you hear what it says.
And can be, and it has like a whole separate message in it. So basically it's a video message that's transformed into an audio file that like sounds just like warbly, like technological sounds, but a good police officer like Lestrade can pick up that is what that is, and then she can have it decoded. And in this case, she does. And it basically is a secret video message from Neville where he's saying that he's got a new identity. And he's managed to frequent the Night Ravens' outdoor meeting places undetected. And he's now compiled a member list, and he's ready to come in and like obviously present all this information to special forces or special intelligence, whatever. A second message attached to this same burst message or whatever says, or it's a video message also, where St. Clair says, update. 2 Ravens have infiltrated the British intelligence as agents and have probably discovered my identity. They may even be aware of this message. And on the video message, we also see like the IDs and the basic information of these 2 Ravens that he's claiming are double agents for British intelligence. And we, of course, see pictures of the exact same 2 men who just took Boone into booking back at the Yard HQ.
Yeah. Okay, wait. Can we pause for a second? So
yes, there's a lot going on here.
Works for the feds, and Neville went undercover with the Night Ravens to get dirt, work his way up, and then his cover got blown. So he said, "Okay,
I'm out.
Shut it down. Kill off both." Da 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 da. Interesting that he did not just tell his actual bosses at the feds, hey, my cover's been blown, witness protection me.
Yeah, right.
My death.
Right now, and my wife.
I don't know, maybe that's why they had the police report that was falsified. Maybe they did that for him. I don't know. And then there are 2 Night Ravens who infiltrated the feds.
Yes.
Okay. That seems problematic. Feds.
Very, very.
Other way around? Okay, I don't know. They're a bunch of criminals. How are they going to background check?
In reality, that's the way they're explaining it in this show. But in reality, it's probably more so like 2 officers, long career officers who like want more money. Like they're not making enough money. And this gang is just bribing them to do whatever they want in reality, which
and like
is
figure out who
effectively
the
same thing. Exactly.
Essentially. And they found out it was Neville.
I guess it is possible that they were like they grew up in this gang and they are like hardened gang members who were like, all right, let's like put on a good face to get jobs for the Fed or something. I guess that's possible. But the way I interpret it is like they're probably being bribed by the Night Ravens and they're like in on the crime.
And they're like, hey, figure out who the mole is and get him for us.
And then
get him,
take him. Exactly.
Okay, so Neville's dead now.
So
Cool.
basically, so Neville is dead. That's what we
Case wrapped up.
can presume from that. Yeah. All right. So
Dinner?
goodbye, everyone. Have a good night. See you now. So at this point, Sherlock tells Lestrade that they need to find Boone immediately because he
Yeah.
obviously is going to have some information and because it's going to lead them to those two rogue agents who they can now turn in to law enforcement because they have this message from Neville before he went missing. So she calls around the HQ a bit and she very quickly finds out that Boone and the agents were last seen headed towards the dreaded Crypnosis chamber. So
Oh, no.
basically, those agents were like, listen, we're not even going to let you leave the premises. We'll just go ahead and wipe your memory here, and then we'll get back to our own office. So, yeah,
Bada
that
bing.
takes care of it. Basically,
Okay.
boom, boom, boom. We told you we'd handle it from here. That's it. We're using all
we
your
did.
resources to handle it. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, as we remember from the very first episode we did, the Crypnosis chamber is basically just like a lobotomizer for the most part, right? Like just wipes your memory. We talk about it every week. It's just the way they deal with crime here. They wipe your memory of any crime committing so that you don't commit more crime in the future,
impulse
I
to
guess.
commit crime.
Yeah. So our three core investigators run to this chamber and they do see the two rogue agents throwing Boone into this Crypnosis chair, strapping him down and like lowering the mechanical helmet down over his head. And just as those agents start that bad boy up, and just as Boone is starting to wriggle and writhe in pain and trying to like force his way out of this chair however he can and out of their restraints, in burst the heroes ready to kick ass. And kick ass they, aka Lestrade, obviously do. So Lestrade turns a stun gun on one of the agents and gets him, and it obviously incapacitates him while Holmes is quickly throwing his obviously ridiculously heavy walking stick. Just throwing it into the control panel of this machine, breaking it. Like, turn off now.
Where's the off button?
The best deductive reasoning you can use is like, if you bash something heavy against the machine, it'll probably stop the machine. So yes, this does send everything into like short circuit mode where everything is just like fizzing and little electrical circuits are just flying everywhere, which does not seem safe for the person strapped into the chair now. And also seems like it'll be an expensive fix. Like Holmes is like kind of like straight up ruining this entire machine. Yeah, right. Like it's not just this one seat where Boone is, it's the whole thing, which for the anti-authoritarian folks in the crowd, that should be a good thing, I suppose. But
we're not mad.
You can't be too mad about it. It'll be an expensive fix, but yeah, go ahead and break it. Break it a little harder. Break it even harder.
Yeah.
So the second agent then grabs Boone from the chair and holds him hostage. He's like, fine, you're going to fuck up the Crypnosis machine. I'll just shoot him instead. I'll just kill him. It's going to be nice. It's going to be gracious, but no.
But
in this way, Lestrade feels like she can't quite shoot at the agent because she doesn't want to hurt Boone in the process. So Sherlock, Watson, and Lestrade are all trying to talk this agent down. Like, come on, you're not going to get out of here with a hostage. You're in the fucking police headquarters. Like, it's going to be impossible. Yeah. But the panhandler, Boone, he's not just an average panhandler, as you said before.
He's a plan handler.
He's a plan handler. Because while the agent is a little distracted as he's like looking at Holmes and trying to reason, Holmes is trying to reason with him, like, come on, guy, you're not going anywhere. Boone, he is able to attack the agent, striking his arm because the agent's got his arm like stretched out with the gun in front of him. So the agent attacks the arm, which releases the panhandler attacks the arm, which releases the agent's hold from the panhandler from Boone. And Boone is able to knock the gun out of the agent's hand. There's like so many characters here. I'm like trying to make sure I get it all right. And so these two are fighting for the weapon, like wrestling each other, basically trying to grab hold of the gun. But while they're distracted with this, Watson is now able to get a clear target on the agent since he's not holding directly Boone anymore. And he shoots and stuns the agent from behind. Lestrade books the rogue agents, basically like, all right, you guys are under arrest. Perfect. We have all the evidence we need from Neville's
Uh-huh.
posthumous reports to us. Appreciate his service and his work. And and Lestrade tells Boone that he's got pretty good fighting skills for a panhandler. Like, not too bad. You held
Uh-huh.
up. I could probably still beat you up, but I think we might spar for a bit. This is
Uh-huh.
great. But Holmes interjects and says, yeah, not too bad, but pretty basic skills for a field agent.
I
And
knew
we
it.
then see Boone pull a rag out of his pocket. He wipes his face exactly, and he pulls off that gray, long,
Hell
greasy
yeah.
wig, throws it to the side, stands up straight, and reveals himself to be none other than Neville St. Clair.
Hell yeah.
So here's what happened, aka here's how Sherlock knew that this was Neville St. Clair, and
Mm.
here is why this is Neville St. Clair, who was apparently not just he wasn't a double agent, he was a triple agent, apparently. He had
Oh my
three
God.
identities that he was juggling here over the past
This
month. So this is a lot. He must
poor
be really good
Lois.
at his job, though, to be able to do that.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Lay it on me.
first, Neville's burst message mentioned a new identity that allowed him to frequent Night Raven's meetings outside
Oh,
without being detected.
okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously, a lowly panhandler is not going to pique
Hmm.
anyone's interest. Sadly, that actually sounds really sad when I say it out
Yeah,
loud like
because
that.
it
So
is.
my apologies. It is, yes. But yeah, like people meeting outside are going to see a panhandler and be like, yeah, just, excuse me, sir, let me walk over
Yeah,
you, or,
it's going their
whatever.
way.
They're not going to think twice about it. Yeah. But then there were also physical clues that Sherlock picked up, like in that hideout spot that they found by the river. There was a whole bunch of food. There was a lot of storage stuff. There was
Mm.
makeup and
Look at the
all of
makeup.
this stuff scattered throughout the room, which indicated a long-term occupant and someone
Mm.
also going there to get into costume or get into a disguise of
The
sorts.
theater makeup.
Exactly, precise. And speaking of the theater makeup, remember that candle that
Oh yeah.
Holmes pointed out on the desk? Watson was like, yeah, he'd probably just used it to light up the room so he could see. But Holmes was like, no, there was electricity in there, remember? And that mirror had all sorts of light bulbs
Yeah.
around it. So why would he need a candle in front of a very well lit mirror? Turns out Holmes remembers an old theater trick from the days, which of course Neville St. Clair would be familiar with as a theater actor,
Uh-huh.
where they would use melted wax, like after it dried a little bit, and they would pick it off and they would place it on their face and like cake makeup over it to look like a skin, like deformity or a
Oh, like as a
scar.
prosthetic, basically.
Yeah, so that's how he got the twisted lip
Oh, that's
over,
cool.
yeah, like that scar over his lip. So Holmes obviously clocked that immediately, like, oh no, that
Yeah.
wax is being used for makeup, and there is also legit makeup in the room too.
Yes.
And so then let's see, what else did he see? He deduced that the candle, yeah, so it was a theater trick. The excess wax is commonly used by theater troops and stuff like that. And he noticed all the additional makeup on the loose coins, which led him to believe that whoever owned these coins was the one wearing the
Put in
makeup,
makeup.
right?
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, a panhandler is
Got a lot
probably
of
someone who's going to
coins.
have this whole tin jar full of coins.
Yeah.
So I think the
Probably
panhandler is in
him.
disguise. Yes. And then last but not least, there was Neville's blue coat, which, as we said before, the only DNA found on it was
Oh, yeah, it was
Neville's,
Neville's.
meaning that the only person who had worn it was Neville, meaning
Yep.
that Neville and Boone must
One and the
be
same.
one and the same.
Mm.
So then a little bit later, we get an explanation from Neville about why he was doing all of this. Like, we
Yeah.
obviously know he was trying to infiltrate the Night Ravens and all of that, and he's a federal law officer, so he's very committed to doing that. But he explains where Boone came into all of this.
Yeah.
He knew that getting arrested as the panhandler was the only way that he'd get the attention of the real British intelligence agents without jeopardizing the mission. So he was like, okay, well, once real law enforcement authorities arrest me and take my DNA, they're going to see that I'm Neville St. Clair, and
Yeah.
that's going to make its way up to the federal agents. And then they're going to like come and find me and protect me. And then I'll tell them everything that I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing he miscalculated was that the rogue agents would get to him before the
First.
actual, like, legitimate, yeah, federal
Yeah.
agents would. So, knowing all this, he apologizes to Watson and Holmes for like that whole fight at the
Yeah.
warehouse and the whole
Sorry.
car chase where he almost killed Watson or almost destroyed Watson and
Yeah.
all of that. He's like,
It's called method
seriously, like,
acting.
and it was an honest mistake, he tells him, because he thought that they were the rogue federal
Oh,
agents
yeah.
coming to
Makes
get him,
sense.
or someone else sent by the Night
Yes,
Ravens,
Night
I mean,
Ravens.
to come and get him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like, my bad, like reasonable mistake, but like you guys broke into my place and like snuck up on me. So I
Right.
naturally thought you were there to kill me. You didn't announce who you were. A
Checks.
nice like Scotland Yard announcement would have been helpful
Would have
in this
been
case, and we could have had this wrapped up
considerate.
hours ago. You
Yeah.
know, would have been constitutionally required, maybe. I don't know how it works in New London, but at least in this country. So, yeah, following this successful raid on the Night Ravens, now that, Neville has come forward and he's safe and they've taken down these two rogue agents and all of that cover has been blown, and I'm sure a full federal investigation of the
Yeah.
whatever MI6 or MI5, whichever one it is totally
Yeah.
underway and all of that.
Hopefully.
But of course, Chief Inspector Grayson, he cannot wait to do a news conference announcing that he and his officers have put the Night Ravens to bed officially. Yeah, which pisses Lestrade off quite a bit because she's like,
Right.
he didn't do shit. Like,
this motherfucker?
yeah, excuse me. Like, she wants his job so bad, you can tell. And honestly, she deserves it.
She'll
Let's be real. One day. Yeah, probably by the last episode.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically, the Night Ravens have been totally decapitated and dismantled. Everyone's happy and celebrating. And Neville, who is now happiest of all, has decided to retire from the forces and is looking forward to enjoying a much calmer and quieter life with his wife, Lois, who I still think should consider leaving him because I don't think she
she's
knew
probably
all of
like,
this.
quiet life with me? What life with me?
So we're not in debt. So yeah, what life with me? So I didn't need to lose sleep over the past month and a half thinking that someone was going to put a dead horse head in my bed by me in the middle of the night.
And then spend my day thinking you were yet again murdered.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know you at all, apparently.
Yeah, right. Are you even Neville St. Clair? Like, you've had two alternative
Girl, do
IDs
better.
that we've seen. Yeah, come on.
You can do better.
Yeah. But basically, so that's the end. That's the end of the main episode. Yes. And I will recap the thank you. I will recap real quick the short story, which, like I said, I did listen to. I found the audiobook online for it. It's really good. Not that long to listen to. And I gotta say, man, this episode did a really good job of adapting this story, I gotta say. So The Man with a Twisted Lip. It is a short story, of course, by our boy Doyle, Arthur Conan Doyle. It was first published back in December of 1891, and it later was collected in the collection of short stories called The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And the plot involves Dr. Watson's search for a missing opium addict, which leads him...
It's just Sherlock.
It leads him to an opium den where he unexpectedly finds Holmes in disguise.
Sure.
It's just in disguise, right? Like, it's literally what he says. He's like, yeah, I'm here for a case, Watson.
Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it, man.
So what was that? What? Oh, no, just a case. Sorry. What was that? What?
It was the case. Just the case.
But yes, so Holmes is there in disguise, investigating the disappearance of a respectable man known by the name Neville St. Clair, who is linked to a disfigured beggar named Hugh Boone. The disfigurement on the beggar, of course, is a twisted lip, aka a very large scar on the top of his lip that kind of has his lip twisted up. The mystery unravels as Holmes eventually discovers that St. Clair has been leading a double life as a beggar to earn money, and that the murder that he's actually investigating is a complex deception to maintain Neville St. Clair's secret life and basically to hide it from his wife.
Yeah.
Now, basically, the reasoning of St. Clair doing this, I won't go through all the details of the story, but the reasoning why he's doing this, like why he's living a double life, basically his fake ID, Neville St. Clair, is as a respectable businessman, kind of similar to an investment banker. But his real life is a squalid beggar. And this is because in his youth, he had been an actor before becoming a newspaper reporter. And to
Mm-hmm.
research an article for that newspaper, he had disguised himself as a beggar for a short time and was able to collect a surprising amount of money
Oh,
due to a skill set uncommon among beggars, which is his acting skills. So
okay.
because he was such a good actor, it actually allowed him to emulate like a more sympathetic character. And
Yeah,
then he
yeah.
added some makeup on to, juice it
Amp it
up a
up.
little bit more. Yeah. And he was then able to like provide a lot of good dialogue, which entertained passersby in a way like where he became more of a street performer than like just
Mm,
straight up a beggar. But I mean,
yeah.
it's a street performer if you know that he's faking it, but like he's doing
Yes.
all of this work and all of this to do just to get some money on the sidewalk. So sometime later, Neville St. Clair found himself saddled with a large unexpected debt. So he returned to the street to beg for several days. This is while he's still working for the newspaper.
Uh-huh.
He returned to the street to beg for several days to pay it off because his newspaper salary was pretty small and wasn't helping him get out of this debt much. So he quickly became tempted by the much larger returns that he was making from begging and panhandling,
That's
and
crazy.
eventually decided to just become a professional beggar. Yeah,
Wow.
which
Okay.
a little crazy. And his takings were large enough where he was able to establish himself as a country gentleman because he was making, so I should have done the exchange rate, but the equivalent to 96,226 pounds in the year 2023. So probably maybe close to $100,000 US
From
currency,
the
if not a little
streets?
bit more, just from begging. Yeah. Like that's the salary he was making
Damn.
just from begging. So he was able to like buy himself a nice house in the country, marry a nice, beautiful, well-off wife, and begin a respectable family. Because he's like, I'm making so much money as a beggar, I can pretend that I'm a financial investment
Yeah,
manager or
yeah.
something or a banker. Yeah. And so his wife and children never knew what he did for a living, but they knew that he had to go into the main
Like the
city,
city.
like into London for business every day. And they lived
Yeah.
like out in the country. So eventually the wife like travels into the city for a different purpose. And she's going in this like kind of seedy area of town. And she
Uh-huh.
looks up at like this opium den or this like club, this seedy club. And she like sees her husband. She's like, whoa, 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 what the fuck? But then he like
Yeah.
runs and hides. And she tries to get into this den, but the bouncer is like, sorry, ma'am, like if you're not a paying customer, like, nah, get the
Yeah.
fuck on. And she's like, okay, something must be wrong. Like, why the fuck would my investment
Husband be
manager
here.
husband being an opium den? So then that's when she calls Watson for
Oh,
help.
funny. Okay.
And basically, like, he eventually gets arrested, I think, for some reason. And then, like, he's afraid that when he is sent to the gallows, it's going to create all this press about him. And people are going to realize, wait, that's Neville St. Clair. Like, what? He's not, what's
Yeah.
happening? Like, they're going to
Who is
obviously ID
this?
him. They're going to rub the makeup off of his face
Right.
to, like,
Yeah.
hang him and try him, right? But eventually, since there is no actual murder that's been committed, I guess they decide to just like release him when they
Sorry about
figure
that.
out that he is. Yeah, like Neville St. Clair, like, oh, sorry. And Holmes and the police agree to keep Mr. St. Clair's secret on the condition that no more is heard of Hugh Boone. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So
I
interesting
kind
plot,
of
very interesting story.
I
And
kind of like the Sherlock version or the 20th
thank
century version
you.
better, right?
I do too. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was going to say. Like, cool short story, but I think this is actually one of the cases where this show
It
made
did a
the
better
original
job.
IP better. It actually
Yeah.
improved. Yeah, they did. They did a better job. I think it
Yeah.
makes more sense for him to have like a double life because he's undercover. And I also think just like aging it up for a modern audience, like we're not going to
Yeah.
just say that someone wants to be homeless or someone wants to be a
Yeah.
panhandler. Like that
And that
doesn't
you'd make
seem
more. Yeah.
right, exactly. And it's
Yeah.
also just disrespectful to people who are actually homeless and
Right.
obviously do
Exactly.
not make more or make a lot of money panhandling and are really struggling. So I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
from that perspective, I love that they rewrote that. I love the
Yes, I
whole
agree.
like, oh no, he is a Fed. There's rogue agents. There's just more intrigue to it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
actually
like
fucking
this
love this
version better.
episode. Not gonna
I'm excited to watch
lie.
this. I was
It's
impressed by
very
it. I
fun
was
to
like, this is
watch.
like
Yeah.
so this is an actual uh journey of solving the case that we went through versus just like,
I
don't know, now we're here,
legit
the end.
Mystery. With like the whole espionage intrigue of it and everything too. It's like spies and double agents and it's cool.
I'm excited to watch it.
Great job to the writers of this episode. I know we've been shitting on some of the episodes. Thank you. But I know we shit on some of these adaptations, like the Hounds of Baskerville's example. But all in all, some of these episodes actually do a really, really good job rewriting the stories. So I'm glad we found one. And hopefully next week, Grace has another one with her final episode of this arc already, which is crazy to believe. But until then, Grace, until you give us your last episode of Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd century, who should they tell about this podcast?
I think you should tell a federal agent. Have we done that before?
Maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna say I'll roll it back. I think you should tell a double agent. Someone who's a mole.
Good luck.
On either side. Maybe that's how you find the mole, is you start telling people and they're like, get to the end of the episode and they look sus because I said tell a double agent. Maybe that's your mole.
And now you know. Saying. And I hope that you live to tell the tale.
Good luck with that. Everyone involved in this entire scenario. So tell a double agent. And who should they tell after that?
After that, you should tell a tow truck driver. There was a tow truck in this episode. There were other things that I could have said, but it didn't feel right saying it. So tell a tow truck driver.
Nice. They
need something to listen to.
And they're dealing with stressed out people, so.
Oh yeah. And they got long drives, long rides. They need something to pop on that radio or in that earbud. Exactly. People are always. Oh, I guess for me, I meant more like in the line of like a AAA tow truck driver, not like you're not supposed to be parked here, but more of like my car.
Having been someone whose car has broken down and need a tow truck driver. We were nice to him, but we're still in a bad mood because our car broke down.
Exactly. That's true. You are always dealing with someone who does not want their car towed.
Exactly. Whether it's like helpful or because why they need the help is not great.
Right. Good point. Yes. Yeah.
So,
cool. So we'll be back next week for Grace's last episode of this arc. And until then, bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.